Welcome to your week in review here on WINN FM 98.9 for the period June 16th through 21st. Making the news last week, St. Kitts and Nevis marks International Day of Women in Diplomacy at Organization of American States.
SCELEC officials urge residents to embrace courtesy extended to neighboring islands under CARILEX Disaster Assistance Program. Organizers anticipate a sold-out St. Kitts Music Festival and historic attendance record in 2025. Nevis Recycling Team ships more plastic waste overseas, confirms reduction in single-use plastic at landfill. Kittitian father James Clark shares with UNICEF his decision to break the negative cycle of fatherhood. St. Kitts and Nevis welcomes the arrival of its first emergency medicine consultant in history.
The cost of convenience. St. Kitts battles escalating environmental threats. Illegal dumping, a persistent concern in St. Kitts, threatening health and environment.
Mr. Hans Richards shares that St. Kitts Nevis youth are finding a better path forward through stronger family support and community initiatives.
Now the details. The Permanent Council of the Organization of American States, OAS, held a regular meeting on Wednesday, June 18, 2025. During this critical session, the International Day of Women in Diplomacy was commemorated, recognizing the profound impact women have had and continue to have in shaping international relations and fostering peace. This significant day was first established by the United Nations General Assembly on June 20, 2022, to celebrate women's contributions and highlight the challenges that still impede their equal participation at all levels of decision-making. Her Excellency Jacinth Henry Martin, the permanent representative of St. Kitts and Nevis to the OAS and current chair of the Committee on Hemispheric Security, delivered a statement on behalf of the Federation in commemoration of the day. Ambassador Henry Martin emphasized the critical role of women in global affairs.
Today, we join the global community in celebrating the International Day of Women in Diplomacy, a day that recognizes the achievements, resilience, and the vital contributions of women who have shaped and continue to shape international relations and peace building across the globe. My delegation extends thanks to the distinguished presenters and speakers who have not only shared their insights, but have, through their words and their works, exemplified excellence in diplomacy. Together, as women diplomats, our service has not only advanced the interests of our respective nations, but has also provided a living demonstration of commitment, merit, resolve, and the transformative power of inclusive representation in global affairs. Today's commemoration holds deep significance, not just in honoring trailblazers in diplomacy, but in illuminating a path for the next generation. To the future female diplomats viewing today and who will view in the future, your aspirations are valid, your voices are needed, and your place in the diplomatic arena has already been prepared by women of strength, wisdom, and vision who walked before you. It is our combined responsibility as male and female diplomats to foster an international community where diplomacy reflects the full richness of human potential, one that champions equity, inclusion, and the indispensable role of women at every table where decisions are made. In so doing today, we would represent both a tribute and a torch, honoring female diplomats who have led and lighting the way for those yet to come.
Historically, the realm of diplomacy has been primarily reserved for men. Despite this, women have been actively involved in diplomacy for centuries, although their contributions have often been overlooked. It is well documented that when women are included in legislative bodies, governance significantly improves, and a broader spectrum of perspectives is considered in decision-making, leading to more inclusive policies that benefit all citizens. Research also indicates that countries with a higher proportion of women in legislative and executive branches tend to have lower defense spending and greater social spending. However, challenges persist. Violence against women in politics remains a significant impediment to achieving gender equality, creating a hostile environment that discourages women from engaging fully in society. Globally, only 20.54% of all ambassadors are women, highlighting the persistent underrepresentation. Between 1992 and 2019, women constituted only 13% of negotiators, 6% of mediators, and 6% of signatories in global peace processes. The commemoration served as a timely reminder of the progress made and the work that remains to ensure women have equal opportunities to lead and contribute to the field of diplomacy. It reaffirms the collective responsibility to champion equity and inclusion, ensuring that the diplomatic arena truly reflects the full potential of humanity.
The St. Kitts Electricity Company, SCELEC, remains committed to the Caribbean Electric Utility Services Corporation, CARELEC, and its mandate to stand at the vanguard for neighboring islands in times of disaster. Under the Disaster Assistance Program, CARELEC secures grant funding to allow for the training of linesmen, known as the Reserve Corps, to assist with post-disaster restoration efforts. During the June 18 edition of Power Talk, Patrice Harris, Disaster Coordinator, and Rondell Phillip, Deputy Disaster Coordinator at SCELEC, discussed the CARELEC's aim to strengthen regional cooperation among member states.
So in any storm, depending on the level of impact, the level of damage, you can solicit support from neighboring utilities. So SCELEC is a part of that. We've not had the opportunity to ask for help, but we've had opportunities in the past to give support to other utilities during their time of need.
Thank you.
So that is to the CARELEC Disaster Assistance Program that's set up where linemen are trained regionally and they go out and provide support. So Mr. Phillips' team...
SCELEC has a team that would have gone through training, alliance... SCELEC has a team that's on the reserve team for CARELEC. So those would be the ones that in the event of a disaster outside of St. Kitts, they would get called upon, if needed, to assist.
In 2024, linemen from the St. Kitts Electricity Company were summoned to Grenada's dependent territory, Carriacou, to help restore electricity in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl. They, along with linemen from other utility companies from across the region, demonstrated their commitment and teamwork, working under difficult conditions to return light and power back to homes, businesses, and essential services. Ms. Harris admonished the citizens and residents to embrace the shared support under CARELEC's Disaster Assistance Program, as one day St. Kitts and Nevis may need the same assistance and display of camaraderie.
So in any storm, depending on the level of impact, the level of damage, you can solicit support from neighboring utilities. So SCELEC is a part of that. We've not had the opportunity to ask for help, but we've had opportunities in the past to give support to other utilities during their time of need.
Thank you.
So that is to the CARELEC Disaster Assistance Program that's set up where linemen are trained regionally and they go out and provide support. So Mr. Phillips' team...
SCELEC has a team that would have gone through training, alliance... SCELEC has a team that's on the reserve team for CARELEC. So those would be the ones that in the event of a disaster outside of St. Kitts, they would get called upon, if needed, to assist.
Being equipped with the tools, training, and experience, the linemen coordinate efforts to identify faults, repair damaged lines, and ensure the safe reconnection of power in disaster-affected islands. Despite the long working hours, maneuvering challenging terrain, with exposure to harsh elements, their sense of duty keeps them going. The St. Kitts Music Festival Committee and local tourism officials anticipate that the event in its 2025 season will be the best one yet, with a historic ticket sales and attendance record. Ticket sales got underway in December 2024, and with almost 6 months of early bird ticket sales, tickets had been going like wildfire. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, St. Kitts, Tivana Wharton, encouraged individuals to purchase their tickets before the weekend's showcase to secure their entry into the Warner Park Stadium.
We anticipate an even bigger crowd this time around, and this is the first time in history that we've started selling tickets so early. Tickets went on sale, I think it was the 28th of December last year. First time in history, and so we're very pleased to have accomplished that. To date, I mean, I will not give the numbers, but even one of the slowest nights, the ticket sales as of today have far surpassed what we have seen in previous years. And so we're quite pleased. And so for persons who haven't yet purchased their tickets, I'm encouraging you to do so. I think I said it at the launch as well, that this may very well be a sold out. There is limited capacity, and for safety reasons, we have to ensure that, we don't go beyond the accepted limit within the space.
Physical tickets are on sale across the Federation at various outlets, but according to P.S. Wharton, there is a likelihood that music festival ticket sales would cut off online because reports from vendors suggest that tickets are being sold like hot bread and butter on the ground. The ticket outlets include The Cable, St. Kitts, Hosford's Value Mart in St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Kitts Nevis Lottery across the Federation, Ministry of Tourism, Pelican Mall, St. Kitts, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday to Friday. Tickets will also be available for sale at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. during the week of the festival, June 23 to 28. However, it's a bit sketchy whether tickets will be sold on show nights because organizers anticipate that tickets may not be available until then. If tickets are available, the sale of tickets at the football booth will start from 5 p.m. on show nights. Similar to general admission tickets, VIP and VVIP tickets have also been selling rapidly, confirming how intentional patrons are in enjoying themselves and being entertained by some of the finest artists on the local, regional, and international scene.
Well, the VIPs, I'm told, I think express events are pretty much sold out. Yes, they're sold out. I think they increased capacity beyond what they initially said they were going to cater for. They're sold out. They may have tickets for the Thursday night. So if you are interested in express events, certainly purchase your tickets. Likewise for White Sands Lounge, the VVIP Lounge by Carambola. They are near capacity. They obviously cater for more persons, so you just might be lucky to get a few from them for the night. So I'm really encouraging persons to purchase their tickets. And I think what's interesting though is that from next week, I think from Monday, we're going to feel the energy of the people.
There has been a boom in the hospitality sector, with hotels in St. Kitts reporting full capacity bookings over the music festival weekend, forcing prospective patrons from overseas to seek accommodation on Nevis.
Maybe about 80% of the early bird tickets initially were purchased by people from abroad. Right now, people can't find not even one place to stay. So if you have Airbnb, put it up now. People are still searching. I'm told that the hotels in Nevis are even near capacity because people are willing to stay on Nevis and come to the festival in St. Kitts. We are really excited about the support from people in the region and internationally, because the truth is this is why the music festival was created.
Just over a week before the 3-night musical affair, work was already ahead of pace on the grounds of the Warner Park cricket and football stadiums in preparation for the St. Kitts Music Festival, June 26 to 28, 2025. The Nevis recycling team officially declared a third container of plastic waste ready for shipment to the Republic of China, Taiwan on June 17, 2025, with more plastic shipments already on the horizon. Such an undertaking on a 36-square-mile island symbolizes a collective effort to reduce plastic consumption. The Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis has demonstrated a growing commitment to sustainability by implementing policies and initiatives that reduce the use of plastics in the country and protect the environment. The recycling program in Nevis helps address concerns that single-use plastics are destructive to natural ecosystems, put species at risk, and accelerate climate change. However, Nevisians will soon see the results of their hard work, as the first batch of reusable tote bags and eco-friendly t-shirts is expected to arrive on the island from Taiwan in a few weeks. This move promotes not only a green fashion statement, but also the circular economy and the zero-waste agenda. Additionally, the Nevis recycling team carried out a waste sampling composition analysis on June 17, 2025 at the Nevis Solid Waste Management Agency. The team sorted 24.8 tons of garbage collected from the villages of Cherry Gardens and Prospect. The team highlighted a recurring concern: the presence of clothing among general waste. The landfill does not allow for fabric disposal, as its purpose is to break down biodegradable waste using topsoil. Meanwhile, the findings of the waste sampling exercise confirm a reduction in the use of single-use plastic bags, a slight increase in the use of garbage bin liners, and a significant portion of plastic bottles. The United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, featured a Kittitian father, James Clark, on its social media platforms on Father's Day, June 15. Clark, a father to a toddler named Jarian, explained the factors that encourage and reminds him to always be a supportive and ever-present dad. His aim is to give his son a chance to experience a father's love and protection, an experience that he was not fortunate to have during his childhood.
What makes me happy as a parent is the ability to actually be there. Because growing up, all I really know was my mother, and my mother had her own issues and she had her own flaws. So do I. And I never seen my mother abandon me, but my father abandoned me. He had his reasons, I don't understand. I have mine, and I understand that my son needs me. And his future will be pretty dim.
The young father chose to break that negative cycle of fatherhood in raising his son, sharing the emotional impact that could scar a child without the presence of a father.
I mean, with his mother alone, if his mother alone does the task, he will make it, but not to the extent that he's sure that he's supposed to sometimes, because there will be a little emotional bruise and scars because the father isn't there to help the mother and the father isn't there to guide the child. So that's one of the things that makes me be a parent, being able to be there. Whether he lashes out at me, he cries at me, or he's happy with me. It means a lot coming from the life that was set before me and the life that I have to change from. So me seeing him not go through half the things I went through, me seeing him exceed way better than me, means a lot for me, my happiness and his future.
UNICEF considers fathers as one of the best child development resources that exist, a role that should be fully recognized and utilized so that children can be given the best start in life. Father's Day falls within the month of June, which is also recognized as Parenting Month. Global Day of Parents is celebrated on June 1 annually, with the guided theme for 2025 being Raising Parents. The Ministry of Health of St. Kitts and Nevis has further acted upon its goal to improve the delivery of emergency care in the country with the appointment of an emergency room consultant. Dr. Jason Ifill arrived at the Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw International Airport on Monday, June 16, and began his official duties on June 17, 2025, at the Joseph N. France General Hospital. He was welcomed to the island by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Mr. Curtis Martin, and Medical Chief of Staff, Dr. Davine Wilkin. Dr. Ifill's appointment as emergency room consultant represents a landmark achievement in the Federation's health sector. Competent general practitioners managed the emergency room at Joseph N. France General Hospital over the years, but not specialists in emergency medicine. Dr. Jensen Morton, Director of Health Institutions within the Ministry of Health, spoke to WINN FM on Tuesday, June 17, explaining the critical role that Dr. Ifill will play in the emergency room. Dr. Ifill's role will include reviewing cases, supervising staff, and implementing improvements to enhance efficiency. Dr. Morton explained that there will be continuous training and medical education for the emergency room staff, as well as a thorough review of the emergency medicine management system, including new and updated management protocols. The aim is also to have certification in basic life support and advanced cardiac life support for as many persons on staff as possible. Dr. Ifill was born in Barbados, but relocated to Jamaica, where he lived and worked since 2005. He completed his emergency medicine specialist training in 2018.
The Twin Island Federation finds itself grappling with persistent environmental challenges, namely illegal sand mining and unauthorized dumping, which continue to undermine the nation's ecological integrity. These illicit activities are not merely isolated incidents. They exacerbate the vulnerability of the nation's shores, especially in the face of an overarching climate crisis characterized by rising sea levels and increasingly powerful hurricanes. In a recent episode of In Focus, Senior Environmental Officer Dr. Elric Francis and Environmental Officer Shavern Gardner offered crucial insights into these practices and the ongoing efforts to counteract them. Host of the program, Ian Richards, opened the discussion by highlighting the widespread nature of illegal sand mining in St. Kitts and Nevis. Dr. Francis responded with a stark assessment and clarified the legal framework for sand mining.
Well, if you were to ask the culprits is not a big issue because they're not mining enough sand. But if you were to actually look at the sustainable practices, we are mining too much sand. Because when you look at because I want people to understand, there's only one legally lawful area where you can get beach sand, and that is the belted area in La Valley around Sandy Point area. If you see any sand mining in any other place in St. Kitts that is illegal, please report that to the proper officials.
When asked to define illegal sand mining, Dr. Francis Ann Gardner stated,
illegal sand mining is when you take sand from not the authorized place.
So it's
unauthorized extraction.
Unauthorized extraction
from particular.
So how much sand are you talking? Are you talking about a pail? Are you talking about a bucket? Are you talking about what? How much sand?
Unauthorized extraction of sand. Because I mean, let's be practical. Of course, there are laws, and then there's rationale. All right. So the law must be developed to protect the sand, of course. Because some persons, if we say a bucket of up to a barrel of sand, there are persons who are resilient enough to go down there and just take buckets and buckets and buckets and buckets. So it is the unauthorized removal of sand. So once it is not authorized by the government to be removing sand, you are not supposed to be removing sand from there. So that is the definition that we are going to uphold.
Dr. Francis added,
if you see any heavy equipment outside of belted, that's completely illegal. Any heavy equipment on the beach extracting sand, that is completely unauthorized, that is completely illegal.
The consequences of illegal sand mining extend far beyond mere regulatory infractions, impacting the environment, economy, and social fabric of the islands. Dr. Francis articulated the fundamental role of beaches and underscored the inherent dangers.
A lot of people don't understand the reason why beaches exist. It's not just because they look nice and people want to go to the beach and they want to go and swim. No, they form natural barriers. They are habitats. They protect ecosystems. And so when you have people who live close to coastal zones, if you have unauthorized extraction of the sand, you are removing your natural protection, and then all of a sudden you have the sea encroaching on your property. And so it's an economic issue, it's a habitat issue, it's an ecosystem issue, social issue. It implicates everything.
The impact on biodiversity, particularly sea turtles, is a grave concern. Gardner elaborated on the broader displacement.
We're speaking about displacement also because the natural barrier has been removed. The sea itself starts encroaching inland, and persons that may damage, like you say, ecosystem that may damage living areas and make damage properties, and persons are forced to move to be relocated in other areas. That can be a challenge for the government itself.
Economically, illegal sand mining is a direct affront to national revenue.
We can even look at it on an economic level because it's almost like cheating. If there's a particular fee that you are asked to pay for the removal of sand and you're not paying, you're actually cheating the government. So as it relates to, say, natural revenue, I mean, you can be basically preventing taking natural revenue that should be going to the government that can be used for social development and other initiatives out there by the government. So sand mining persons normally look at the short-term benefit and exclude the long-term impact.
Dr. Francis emphasized the intricate balance of coastal ecosystems, explaining the process of accretion, the natural buildup of sand.
And another thing that a lot of people don't understand is that they don't know how beaches form. They don't understand about accretion and depletion and wave action and stuff like that. So we have the reason why belted is that place is because it has natural high accretion. Okay, so if you have sustainable sand extraction, over time, it will build up. But if you go to another place that has a different set of wave action and different set of accretion, that sand won't accrete in time. And so when you move that, you actually change the contour of the land, and so it would affect the accretion in other areas.
He added a crucial point about interconnectedness.
Because a lot of people don't understand that these ecosystems, everything is connected. So when you remove the barriers from here, from this area, the wave action that would normally just come, lap, and touch that land, and then go back around, that doesn't exist. So now, if let's say, whatever accretion that would have happened in another place, that won't happen. So now, if we have illegal sand mining in one place, we now remove the protection of the natural high accretion of belted. And so now, when we normally see, okay, we could extract sand from belted for 5 months and then wait 3 months. Next, you have to wait longer for accretion. And a lot of people don't understand the long-term effects of their short-term gains.
Detecting illegal sand mining involves a multi-pronged approach. Gardner detailed the department's strategies. He also underscored the critical role of public participation.
There's profiling. We do regular profiling. We do regular visitation of the areas or beaches. There's regular patrol. Also, we have implemented some strategies or some methods to what I'll call watchers, basically. So there are strategies there to basically monitor, let me say that, these areas and with regular visitation. And also, we are asking community to get involved, because most of the times, like Mr. Francis said, a lot of the time when we are getting reports, we're getting reports from persons who see these people extracting the sand illegally and with impunity. Some of them, they overdo it. They don't act like they're doing something illegal. They act like it is expected. I don't even know what the word to use. It's bothering.
Regarding penalties, Dr. Francis outlined the current repercussions for offenders.
When we talk about the penalties about illegal sand mining, as Mr. Gardner said, a lot of these truckers, they feel as if we are taking money out of their pocket. But they don't understand that they are taking money out of their own pocket in the long run, because it's just a short-term gain for a long-term loss. So when you have illegal sand mining, you have a $10,000 fine or up to 12 months in jail and forfeiture of your vehicle and heavy equipment.
He acknowledged the perceived inadequacy of existing fines under the National Conservation Environment Protection Act and the push for stronger deterrence.
That is based on the old NCMA, the National Conservation Environmental Protection Act. The new law that is being worked on, we're asking for higher penalties, because when we go out and we try to find these people, you would have people on the side who are saying, well, you're only charging him 10,000 and he don't make 10 times that. And so the new legislation calls for 50,000, but then when we're looking into stakeholder consultation, they're still saying that 50,000 is not enough. But currently, as the law stands, it is $10,000 fine or 12 months in prison with forfeiture of your vehicles and your heavy equipment.
The process for legal sand mining, however, is straightforward. Dr. Francis described it as...
It's a very simple procedure. If you're a trucker, you just go to... It's managed by Public Works. You go by Public Works, you pay the fee. You can only go there certain days. And when you go there, they would have somebody from Public Works on site, and they will fill you up, and you go on your way. That's it.
Gardner added.
Yeah, so basically, you go to the Public Works, there's a permit, you pay for the permit, you take the permit to the authorized area that you're allowed to extract sand from. It says how much, there's a cost per cubit. It says how much, and you go there, and there's a worker there from Public Works who is there to receive your permit and allow you to extract the amount of sand that you paid for.
As the discussion concluded, both environmental officers issued a powerful call to action for the public to embrace their responsibility as stewards of the environment, aligning with the government's vision of a sustainable island state. Gardner urged listeners to consider the long-term implications of their actions.
Well, I'd say, speaking to listeners out there, and I speak in accordance with the Sustainable Island State Agenda. And sustainability basically means that we have the necessary resources, natural resources for now and later. And that is what I want persons out here to consider when they look at environment conservation and when they're dealing with even encountering these activities such as illegal dumping and illegal sand mining. We ask persons to consider the impact, not just the short-term convenience, but the long-term impact as it relates to health, as it relates to the well-being of the future generation.
He passionately affirmed that sustainability is fun, echoing the Minister of Environment's words, and encouraged environmentally friendly behavior.
And when you develop a sustainable behavior or what we call an environmentally friendly behavior, I think we all can be proud to call ourselves citizens. I think we can say that we can look back in history and history can smile upon us and say we were part of building a sustainable island state, because it will happen. It's going to happen with or without the naysayers and the persons who refuse to participate, because I do believe, and we've seen, that there are more persons out there that are willing.
Dr. Francis reiterated the call for active participation.
I want people to be stewards, good stewards of their environment. And so I just empower you to do better. If you see bad, report it, and just take care of the environment, because you have to live in it.
For reporting illegal activities, the public can contact the Department of Environment at 467-1081, message them on their social media platforms, Facebook or Instagram at DOE-SKN, or visit their official offices upstairs at the Caribbean Building in the Bird Rock area. Authorities assure that all information shared will be kept strictly confidential. The perennial issue of illegal dumping continues to plague St. Kitts, posing significant threats to public health, environmental integrity, and the nation's vital tourism product. In a recent episode of In Focus, Senior Environment Officer Dr. Elric Francis and Environment Officer Shavern Gardner shed light on the widespread practice and the ongoing efforts to combat it. According to Dr. Elric Francis, illegal dumping is defined as
when you place domestic or commercial or any type of refuse in an unauthorized area.
He clarified the distinction between littering, which involves smaller items like candy wrappers, and illegal dumping, which refers to the
widespread, the wholesale dumping of garbage in areas.
This concerning activity manifests in various locations across the island, including abandoned lots, the Independence Square guts, and alarmingly, the Royal Bastille Valley Aquifer. The implications, Dr. Francis emphasized, extend beyond more than aesthetics.
But it's not just the aesthetic that it looks bad or that it smells bad, but it's unhealthy. And then it affects the habitat, it affects the ecosystem, and it affects the tourism product of St. Kitts. So it has a lot of implications.
This critical assessment aligns with the Department of Environment's view that illegal dumping causes adverse and harmful environmental consequences. Contamination of land and water resources, including aquifers and river passageways, can lead to indirect illness in humans, animals, and other forms of biodiversity. Furthermore, it provides a breeding ground for rodents, mosquitoes, and cockroaches, which are carriers of illnesses that can affect the population's health, with the worst-case scenario resulting in death. The spoilage of natural beauty also impacts mental health and fosters an acceptance and tolerance for this grave situation. The Solid Waste Management Corporation is legally mandated to enforce the Solid Waste Management Act 2009, covering litter, derelict vehicles, and unkempt properties. For those caught in the act of illegal dumping, An on-the-spot $500 fine can be issued by litter wardens. This is in line with the $500 fine mentioned regarding illegal dumping in the Independence Square. For more extensive cases, investigations can lead to an abatement order requiring the person to clean the area or a fine of up to $5,000, sometimes both. These stricter penalties could be increased to $5,000 for legislative reforms for solid waste. Beyond enforcement, the Department of Environment emphasizes public awareness and community involvement.
We have officers that they do regular visitation and checkups to areas that we call hotspots.
The department actively promotes the idea that environment protection is a shared responsibility, not solely the government's burden.
The environment is for all of us. The duty and the obligation is for all of us to do our part. Each little helps. I think that is one of the message that is being pushed for sustainability.
Citizens are urged to become environmental stewards and report illegal activities, especially since some individuals travel from one community to the other community to do this illegal dumping. The Ministry of Environment has also warned against illegal dumping in Independence Square and emphasized the need for active monitoring by litter wardens. The Community Beautification and Safety Bill 2024 aims to address chronic environmental hazards and enhance public health. The push for sustainability necessitates a consistent reminder and consistent reinforcement to eradicate this repugnant practice from society. By working in solidarity through continued public awareness, enforcement, and community vigilance, St. Kitts aims to phase out illegal dumping and protect its vital natural resources for future generations.
Mr. Hans Richards, Research and Data Analysis Officer at the Citizen Security Secretariat, St. Kitts and Nevis, made a presentation to the congregation and online audience of the Antioch Baptist Church on Father's Day, June 15, 2025. Richards' presentation highlighted positive and productive feedback from the team at the Citizen Security Secretariat on their strategy of tackling crime and violence in the Federation. The Citizen Security Task Force, as of the latter months of 2024, implemented an epidemiological approach to address crime and violence. The unit witnessed a significant reduction in gun-related homicides, sustained peace in communities, and has also shifted focus from crisis response to proactive prevention strategies, Richards informed.
Look at what we were like a couple 28 years ago. Look at how the murder rate increased. Now when we apply the public health approach, treating crime and violence as an infectious disease and applying the epidemiological principles, this is the results we're having today. And I think those of you who are involved, whether you're involved or not, most of us are doing something to make St. Kitts better than what it was. So in terms of the crime and violence, so I think you deserve a round of applause to yourselves. So we have, for the past 8 months, we have witnessed only through gang violence, 1 murder, whereas last year we were at 15. So that's a drastic decrease in crime and violence.
The PowerPoint presentation specifically showed that 474 homicides were committed in the last 28 years, with a majority being males. 156 inmates imprisoned are linked to gang violence, and 15 non-fatal gunshot victims are permanently incapacitated. Commenting on the figures presented, Richard said the cycle of violence must stop, sharing the sad reality that violence spreads like a disease but had not been treated as such until recent times. Meanwhile, the public health and security expert gave an in-depth explanation of how exactly he and other counterparts within the citizen security regime had been carrying out their mandate, pointing to efforts to reduce recidivism, ensuring that victims or witnesses of crime and violence do not retaliate, and ensuring that upcoming youth do not copy criminal patterns or behaviors.
Just like COVID, we interrupt the transmission. How do we do that? We wear a mask, we social distance, we had a lot of work or school online. Same thing with crime and violence. Instead of social distance, what do? We stop those who are at risk. So those who would have lost a family member, those who would have witnessed a crime or violence, or those who are co-victims, those who probably would have been involved in the killing, etc. So we meet those where they are and we remove them from the society and we treat them. For those, and what we try to do is to disinfect the society. So we try to change the behaviors. And just like COVID, when we stop the spread, then the norms will change. People now wear masks. They never used to wear masks before. The same thing. We now want persons to communicate with children. When you see them do something wrong, we go back to what we used to do and talk to them about what their behaviors. It takes a time, it takes a while to change norms, and we have to go back to the norms that we had before.
An important and positive development from the Citizen Secretariat reveals that fewer young men are choosing gangs. Family support systems are being strengthened, and faith-based institutions are playing a pivotal role in violence prevention and healing. Following a 90-day campaign against crime and violence launched on September 6, 2024, the task force of the Citizen Security Secretariat gathered data from a series of community engagements. Richards said the findings of the community consultations suggested that family issues, which involved the parenting, were the leading root cause of a crime and violence in St. Kitts and Nevis.
You are listening to the Week in Review here on WINN FM 98.9. Thank you for listening and have a productive week.